Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for the third and final part of the Q&A, so let's go ahead and finish this up. Alright, first question. Is there much benefits for general strength and size to have a big arch on the bench press? I just pull my shoulder blades back and stay tight. I have long arms. I have twice the range of motion of some guys with short arms who arch a lot. I'm not competing in powerlifting. Alright, brother, the purpose of an arch is to show off for your friends and to get a shorter range of motion by taking the hardest part of the exercise, the bottom, out of the bench press in a powerlifting meet. As far as that goes, yes, you need to train with an arch if you're going to compete that way to some extent. But in the off season, when you're pretty far out from a meet, I don't recommend you use a big arch. I don't believe that it is ideal for overall strength or hypertrophy. Just like I wouldn't tell guys to spend a lot of time in their off season doing a 2-board press, right? Why? Trims range of motion out, lets you lift more weight, but it doesn't lift you overload the muscles. That's this whole misconception people have. It's basically doing a partial. And I tend to be of the opinion that you have to find, usually on any exercise, obviously a variation of the exercise that allows you to move the heaviest weight through the longest range of motion. All right? The heaviest weight you can move through the longest range of motion. At least the longest effective range of motion. And no, a big arch doesn't facilitate that. Now, I can understand a really small noob might get a little bit of benefit out of the arch in the sense of they're going to eventually grow big enough to, where that arch could put them where they're going to be. And that might be justified in some cases, but generally speaking, no, I don't think you need to use a big arch. Most of the time when you're training, it's not going to help you build the most size and strength. It is great, though, for displaying strength and showing off when you need to lift the most weight in front of an audience. But understand the difference. As Paul Carter always says, there's a difference between building strength and demonstrating strength. All right, next question. My legs grow way easier than my upper body. Is it acceptable to keep the weight lower for my legs or do less volume? I guess what's your advice for my situation? I'm going to be honest with you, bro. I don't believe you. And I'm not saying it's not possible that you're telling the truth. What I'm saying is that statistically, it is very, very, very unlikely that you're telling the truth. And now here's how I would assess that. Because someone who is so genetically gifted in their legs that their upper body struggles to keep up would be the only situation where this really occurs. And I'll give you an example of how to tell. You reached a 500 barbell squat to depth and a 550 plus deadlift before you were able to bench 200 pounds. Like, you got to a 500 squat around the time that you barely hit a 200 bench with a pause, right? That would be an example. Now, if you're a guy who tells me, well, man, I only squat 400 pounds or I only squat 365 for a max, and you legitimately believe that you have this problem, then this is a problem. You don't. Your legs aren't that genetically gifted. Unless you're still stuck at a 95-pound bench press. Now, if you're stuck at a 95-pound bench press, and by the time you've reached, a 365 to 400-pound squat, then maybe it's true. But you probably don't have this situation. You know what? You're in the same situation every other human being is in. It's perfectly normal to have big legs if you train hard, right? It doesn't mean they grow faster. They're supposed to grow faster. Your legs are bigger than your arms. They're bigger muscles. Of course they grow faster. But that doesn't mean it's imbalanced. Now, is it acceptable? You know what? You can justify doing whatever you want in your own mind. There are guys who can justify, in spite of the lack of scientific evidence, to do 15 sets of curls a week and honestly think their biceps are going to double in size from it instead of just doing big compounds. It's not supported by the scientific data. But if you want to justify it because that's what you want to do, then do whatever you want. It's not my job to justify for you your choices in the gym. But if you want me to give bad advice to justify your choices, I'm not going to do that. Do whatever you want, man. If you don't want to do your legs anymore, don't want to train them, and you want to stay at a 300 squat, while you get to a 500-pound bench press, that's your own business, brother. I don't care. It's your choice to make. But this nonsense of, well, my legs grow too fast, that's the same stuff Brandon Carter pulled. Brandon Carter doesn't have big legs. Remember, and he said, I'm going to quit squatting because my legs grew too big. I was squatting 300 pounds for reps, and he doesn't have particularly big legs. But, he claims that he does. And that's fine. If that's what he wants to do, that's his business. And if that's what you want to do, that's your own business, brother. Now, I could be wrong. You could be a 600-pound squatter who's still struggling to get to a 300-pound bench. In which case, do what you need to do to balance yourself out. I could be totally wrong. But do whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to advise you to go reduce your leg training volume or to not squat hard. I'm not going to give that advice. All right, next question. Hi, Jason. I totally swear by your Ice Cream Fitness 5x5 from some years ago, but want to move on to something different now. What do you think of 5-3-1 or push-pull? Well, I hope you don't still use a novice program for years, brother. You should have moved on a while back. That program's supposed to be run about a year. What do I recommend after? I have intermediate program. There are tons of other intermediate programs. I don't know what you mean by push-pull. Push-pull's not a program. That just is a loose concept. But, you could do some sort of push-pull or upper-lower training protocol. There are plenty of good ones out there on 4-day splits. You could run my intermediate program is an upper-lower. You could run 5-3-1. That's fine. It probably needs a bit more volume in it, but you could run it. Try a couple different things. Run them out for 8 weeks, 12 weeks. See how you do. See how you get on with them if you like them. It's the Texas method. There's Mad Cows. You've got a lot of options out there, but yeah, you definitely don't want to run a novice program for 3 years. That's not going to work. And I'm glad my program gave you results, and it should have. But yeah, you don't run that more than about a year. It's time to move on to something else, brother. Advance a little bit. Go on to intermediate programming. Go on to advanced programming. There's plenty of good ones out there. All right, next question. Hey, Jason. I was wondering at around what stage in life you should start a DUP style program. Right now I'm running stronglifts 5x5. My ultimate goal is aesthetics and strength. I don't support DUP. I'm fine with concurrent training. DUP is a subset of concurrent periodization. I think concurrent periodization works very well. I have seen zero data, even in meta-analysis done, to suggest that DUP does anything beyond other effective concurrent training methods other than add a degree of complexity. And if you're adding a degree of complexity for zero return, I don't recommend that. So no, I'm not real big on DUP for most people. But I'm fine with any sort of concurrent periodization. So the question becomes, when should you go to concurrent periodization? When your linear progression stalls out. You go on concurrent periodization for the same reasons you would go on block periodization, like standard linear. Because remember, concurrent training is nonlinear periodization. The thing is, you would use them around the same time period you would switch to those. When you're an intermediate, when you've milked out your novice gains, when you have now been running stronglifts or starting strength or my novice program or any other linear progression program, when you've gone a month without any of your lifts increasing, or you're having to reset over and over and over all your lifts, it's time to rotate into some sort of periodization. It's time to rotate into some sort of periodization, or even some of the lift mastery stuff I've talked about, or some of my concurrent training, or any of the proven concurrent protocols out there. That's when you go to it. When you can no longer make linear progress as a novice anymore. All right, next question and final question of the week. Where does the Ice Cream Fitness name come from? All right, I came up with Ice Cream Fitness for 2 reasons back when I first started my channel. First of all, when I did my original cut to start YouTube, I documented some of me rebuilding. I had been sick. I had spent a year in bed sick. I had just been several years away from training. I started videoing stuff just to document a little bit. I actually did not intend to become a full-blown YouTuber. Now I actually make a living at this. contrary to popular opinions, and people can believe whatever they want. That's fine with me. Believe whatever you want, guys. But that was not my original intention. I was just documenting, and I started calling it Ice Cream Fitness because at the time, the flexible dieting thing was really big online, and I decided, maybe I want some of this to be viewed by a few other people. Let me just try, because I, had picking up a few subscribers, and realized, hey, they monetized me. I can make a little pocket change. So I started calling it Ice Cream Fitness originally, because of the whole thing with flexible dieting, because I had just done like a phase of weight loss to where I dropped from, I think, like 234 down to 198, right? And I did some of it while eating ice cream every day. And yes, I did the scale thing. I weighed out 300 calories of ice cream, 500 calories of ice cream, stuff like that, and would eat a bunch of lean protein and vegetables and other stuff. Basically just did the flexible dieting just to mess with it. So, hey, this can be done a little bit. So I did it. And I'm like, well, since I'm adding a little ice cream every day, I'll call it Ice Cream Fitness, because it also says Ice Cream Fitness phonetically when you say it. All right? And I did that because the Hodge twins were making fun of Ian McCarthy back then, who I had interactions with and I did speak to regularly. We didn't agree on a lot of points, but we were on speaking terms, decent terms, and debated a bit online and things, not directly on YouTube. So because I had that interaction and the Hodge twins started calling him Pop-Tart Fitness, the Ice Cream Fitness popped in my head. So I will give props to them, because I realized Ice Cream Fitness fit more what I was doing, and it said Ice Cream Fitness, and it was a play off of them calling Ian McCarthy Pop-Tart Fitness. So that's where it came from, and that is the entire backstory. And I obviously later changed it. So I hope this has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.